I see a Courtney head.
Hi.
Ooh, hi. We got a bit of echo.
It was B. Oh, there she is.
I think Courtney's got a bit of. Do you have headphones, Courtney?
I don't know.
That is...
How do I
can't
stop
see
my
you.
echo?
Oh, wait a minute.
Turn on a light, Courtney.
Richard.
All right, so Courtney is joining us from just after your brother's wedding, I take it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Actually.
Richard is joining us from Charlottesville, so we just had a couple of other Charlottesvillians in here. Richard drum the astronomy bum, so there we go. And Michael is trying to join us. Maybe, Courtney, can you turn down the volume to reduce the echo? That might help. No, see, I'm hearing my own audio come back through your side.
My first time using this microphone. Yeah, I'm wearing them.
Yeah, if you put headphones on, that'll.
I'm wearing headphones.
Okay. There's still sound coming out of your
This is my
computer
first
somewhere.
time using this mic, so
Okay.
let's give it a shot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still hearing the echo through, but
Houston, Texas. Yeah.
Hi. Okay, so the oh gosh, I can't. I'm getting distracted by the echo.
Your mic is really close to that Mac.
Hi, everybody.
Microphone.
No, it's on her.
Hi. Everybody, buddy.
Okay, now you're just playing. Now you're just messing with me.
Yeah, hang on. I'm
Yeah.
fixing it.
You got me.
Okay, so we have a discussion topic about how to battle cranks, and I.
So what's wrong with cranks?
Cranks.
Oh, cranks. Okay.
No, we like cranks. We're
Okay.
okay with that. Okay, you
I
just.
have bad hearing.
You're young. Give me a break. You shouldn't have bad hearing yet. What would you? First of all, I guess what's the definition of a crank? What would you consider a crank? Richard's too busy playing with a mouse.
Yeah, he's got rocks.
Michael, there you are.
Hello.
How are you?
Now I'm hearing the YouTube feed from 70 seconds ago.
You were brilliant 70 seconds ago. Truly.
So what would you consider a crank?
Who, me?
Anyone, go.
How about somebody who is so wildly, I'm quoting now, so wildly at variance with those in those commonly held beliefs as to be considered to be ludicrous. I just like the word ludicrous. So.
Ludicrous. So ludicrous, beyond what is acceptable in some way.
Dismissing all evidence.
Dismissing evidence. Okay, that's a good.
You know, facts. I consider facts to be irritating because they get under your skin and they itch terribly.
Oh.
Right. So we're saying that crank isn't. You know, a lot of people like to argue on the internet, but we don't want to just talk about, hey, you disagree with me, I disagree with you, but somebody that is dismissing evidence, right? And so where do you run into these kinds of things?
Well, it seems like it's always fun to run into them in the classroom.
Oh, okay.
They're a little harder to dismiss when they're in the classroom because they actually, paid to be there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean the teachers, not the students?
Well, both.
Okay.
That's always fun. No, I lecture, but I also teach teachers at the local college, University, Oakland University.
Where are you located, Michael? So Michael's been running a lot of our green room stuff. You are behind Astronomy FM. Maybe a little introduction is in order.
Well, of course. I am a planetary astronomer. I work on processing Kepler mission data. See, it's been a long night for me too. Kepler mission data or data mission Kepler, one or the other. That is what I do for a living, and then for fun, because free time. What's that? I'm the program director of Astronomy.fm, which is an all astronomy general science internet radio station, and so we're helping with this right here. Tonight, we're simulcasting tonight's broadcast for those people who don't have the pleasure of Google Plus and YouTube. They're quite a few countries around the world where you can't watch what we're doing right now. Interestingly, we're getting a large number of our broadcast listeners are in China.
Oh, hello, China.
Yeah, China, we are usually blocked, censored by the government.
Yeah.
So, and I just screwed up by just mentioning that fact live on the air. But where I'm located, I'm in Metro Detroit, and I'm associated with Caltech, and I work in the Canary Islands. So other than that, I'm really not quite sure where I'm at.
You're all over the internet.
I'm all
everywhere.
over the place, yeah. The internet, one giant location.
Yes, yes, it is. And Richard, we've had you in and out and through and doing video stuff, but why don't you actually introduce yourself, where you are and what you do?
Yes, hello. I'm Richard Drum in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I'm the past president of the Charlottesville Astronomical Society and current vice president of it. Oh, yeah, right. There
you go.
There we go.
Advertising.
Charlottesville
I have several
Astronomical
cast mugs.
Nice chapeau.
And I've been doing presentations at McCormick Observatory, the home of DSBK and Nicole's old stomping grounds. And yeah, I've done presentations there, usually for things like Friday night. It was Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, even the Senior Center. But here's I get to actually out myself a little bit tonight. I did a presentation at McCormick for a group of astrologers about 3 years ago.
Ooh.
Yes, actual astrologers. Yeah. Now my typical presentation starts off with the low-hanging fruit attacking astrology. Oh boy! So I had to make a decision. Am I going to lose my audience at the very start, or do I want to kind of wedge my way in a little bit? And so I actually took that attack out and sort of worked science in as best I could. I mean, astrology, like a lot of woo, is a position that one arrives at not by using rationality. And so you can't really use rationality to talk them out of that position. So I kind of tried to expose them to some science. And I did the best I could. I don't think any of them left not being astrologers still. They're quite convinced that it works. I also have, when I worked at Channel 29, the local NBC affiliate here in Charlottesville, I had a friend that worked as another cameraman next to me, and he and his housemates, they were 100% into drawing up star charts and and they kept offering to me to do my chart as if that would be indicative of something, and I always politely declined.
It is. It's indicative of your suckerhood.
And so yeah, and I got into it a little bit with him. I was on Facebook. I had friended him again after years, and without keeping him in mind, I was saying, "Oh, the astrology, what a crock!" And he came back and said, "No, it's not a crock. It works for me. I don't know how, but it really works well for me and my clients." And I was like, "Oh,
well,
clients.
and
what you gonna do?"
You've actually got research backing you up there, and again, the tie into University of Virginia. Some of the professors at the University of Virginia did some work going through horoscopes and going through different star charts and things like that. That actually showed. Oh, hang on, I need to. We're still getting echo. That actually showed that the astrology doesn't work, and so there's that research going in there.
You muted Courtney, but it's still echoing.
Is it still echoing? Okay.
I've got headphones on.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Courtney, when you're not talking, we have to keep you muted because of the echo.
But it's
you need to
still
unmute
echoing.
yourself when you say something.
But it's still echoing.
Can you hear me? Is this working?
We can hear you now.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now, but when you're not talking, we need you to mute yourself because of the echo.
What's echoing? I turned off everything else.
Okay, but we can hear the echo coming through your side. I can see the sound bar.
Yeah, I had a second window open for a while that was causing echo, I think, earlier on.
Okay.
I did the same, and I turned it off, so I don't know why it's still echoing.
Maybe that was where it was coming from.
Yeah.
My head is hollow. So that goes a lot in there. Not much I can do about that. A lot of cotton wrapping around my head. That's why I don't have a picture, a live image of myself. I have a face for radio.
Hey man, I've been sitting here for I don't know how many hours. I've lost track. I can't look that great. So, but yeah, so there's you can actually do the research and see if the astrology is actually making any sense or making a difference. And they've done this research decades ago that showed that there doesn't seem to be anything behind it.
Yep.
I think it's making a difference because they believe it, and that's enough for them, and it's kind of making it happen in their own head, Yes?
I can't hear you that well.
Ugh.
Sorry.
Okay.
When you mentioned that it works well for my clients, quote unquote, my first question is how well, how deeply does that person hold that belief personally?
Very.
Or is it a question of, yes, I believe this stuff, or boy, I found a really good scam I can make a lot of money doing? And what's also interesting is when people make that transition from they started out as true believers. Over time, they find that, the stuff I've been talking about is really woo, and yet they say, well, this is me, this is my shtick. I guess I have to shtick with it.
That's probably only Sylvia Brown that's cynical.
Oh, yeah.
So that's not even astrology. That's now we're full on into
cold
talking
reading.
with the dead. Yeah, cold reading basically. If you ever want to see a great cold reading demonstration, go see Penn and Teller. They are magicians, and they come out and say, "We're here to fool you," and they do some pretty cool cold reading demonstrations. They pick people out of the audience and read what's on their mind. You saw that South Park too. South Park is nice at taking down different forms of crankery.
I would love to have pulled James Randi's trick on the astrologers and had underneath each chair stuck a little prediction for each person, and how, this is the thing that he had done a number of years ago, and had each person pull it out and just read their own, and then everyone hold up your hands if it really applies to you and if it's really accurate, and they all 90% of them hold their hand up. Now hand it to the person to your left and the person all the way, bring it to the right. And of course, they're all exactly identical.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're outgoing, sometimes you're reserved. And, everybody's that way.
Yeah.
Oh well.
And from if you tie back into the astronomy, a lot of the not all of astrology, I will get corrected on that if I say otherwise, but a lot of astrology, Western astrology, is based on the zodiac constellations, and they're not in the same place they were 5,000 years ago. And so the sign you think you are, probably not the sign you think you are, and then some of you are Ophiuchus, and so good luck finding that in the newspaper as well.
I used to have fun irritating Pamela. I just walk in the room and say, "So I'm a Gemini, Pamela. What's my horoscope?"
You did admit earlier, I don't know any astronomy. If you missed that earlier, Joe is one of our programmers on CosmoQuest, and so this fundraiser is in large part to feed Joe because he's hungry and a poor grad student, and we're losing the funding that support the program.
Looks like he's drinking, Joe, too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. What are you drinking right now?
Cider and nothing else.
Cider and nothing else. Is this Santa Claus on the mug? Okay, there's Santa Claus on the mug, but that's fine.
Hey,
Just being
Nicole.
nosy. Yay!
Can you hear me now? And am I not echoing? I think I fixed it.
Let me say something. Yeah, you're not echoing anymore, and we can hear you a little better. So.
Better slightly.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
A different microphone, perhaps?
No, I realized that I had the speakers and the microphone doing the same thing.
Gotcha.
Headphones and speakers simultaneously.
Yeah, there you go.
So Courtney, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us where you are?
I am in Katy, Texas. It's a suburb of Houston. For my brother's wedding, I was in it. It was very nice. They went off on their honeymoon on a cruise, and I cleaned everything up after that. So I'm here now. Yay. Hi. I'm sorry I had to miss today. I hope it's gone well so far.
Yeah, and we actually got to see some of your craft videos.
Oh, really? How did that go?
We started.
Not bad.
Yeah, we started the one with the T-shirts. We haven't. We actually need to keep showing segments from that. I don't think we've shown segments in a while. I don't know where the shirt
Yeah,
is.
it's a little tricky getting the audio to feed through, but I edited them this morning / yesterday morning / last night / whatever it was. Yeah, Friday morning early, like 4 or 5 a.m. I was editing your video clips.
Yeah, so we'll need to pick that video up and continue to see how to make that really cool shirt.
Oh
that
yeah,
we have.
I did an Astro Gear commercial as well. Did you get
Right,
that one, Richard?
Yeah.
Is that the one you showed already? Nice.
We've shown that plus part of the T-shirt making ones. Yeah, I really like the little planetary nebula in there. That came out well.
Oh yeah, I mean, I spent a really long time painting those shirts. Actually, it wasn't a. I went to Pamela's house 4 days in a row, working for hours each day. It was not a simple process. And then there were storms, and it got dark, and just stopping, you know.
And aircraft, and a heat pump that turned on and off, and a neighbor or somebody came by.
And stopping and saying hello, and I was just like, yeah.
Now,
They knew I was recording. They walked by and watched me like setting up all these camera and audio things, and they just started talking to me in the middle of it. I was like, thanks.
Were you just saying that you were recording while it was a dark and stormy night? Did I hear that?
I had to keep doing different nights because I the storm hit me the first night, and I had to pack everything up and take it inside. And then I came back the next night, and it got dark, and I couldn't see what I was doing at all. So I had to pack it up and come back the next day. It took me 4 days of going back over there to redo
video created by Braille.
Everything up. Yeah, so I'm wearing 4 different outfits essentially in those videos. It's very interesting.
Continuity.
Yeah. But I mean, I thought about wearing the same shirt the whole time, but I was like, man, it was hot and sweaty and gross, and I was like, no, you'll just enjoy the difference. But yeah, I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Courtney Hogan. I work with all of these awesome people you've been hanging out with all day. I am also in CosmoQuest Forum, I guess, liaison from all the admins and moderators to the, this whole team you've been hanging out with all day.
Yeah. So have you had to deal with any cranks yet, besides me?
No, I mean, I'm not going to say that the moderators have never gotten cranky, but I've gotten cranky too. So
that's a different kind of crank.
Yeah, we're loving that, but I haven't had to do that, at least not yet. They seem to have it under control, which I love. So I'm trying to keep them happy as much as possible. Which, by the way, Nicole, there's a whole bag in that attic of bracelets. Don't feed the trolls.
Oh, okay.
Anyone who joins the CosmoQuest forum, becomes a member during this whole event, is gonna get a free don't feed the trolls bracelet. So you gotta go grab some of those. They're different colors. They're 3 different colors, and show people what they look like.
All right, I'll have to find out more about that when Pamela wakes up from her nap. I don't know where any of those are. I've got a couple of those bracelets myself.
I can tell you where they are.
Okay.
Actually,
I don't know. I'm a little worried here. Here's some advice at the wee hours of the morning to go into the attic on the stormy night.
They're in the attic right now.
We're in the attic.
They're already there.
Oh, okay. Oh, in that case, what a fine-looking attic Pamela has.
It's a floor all to itself.
It's a fabulous attic.
Yeah.
Next is a widow's walk with a big telescope on top. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Don't let Kyle hear you say widow's walk. Just saying.
He knows about it. He's not. It's okay.
Was he in order for her to be a widow? Oh, never mind.
No, it's just what they call it.
Oh, I see. It's a term of art. Yes.
Term of design, maybe we should call it.
So the forums we merged in with the Bad Astronomy Universe Today forums, which was started by Bad Astronomy and Universe Today, Phil Plait and Fraser Kane, and something that Phil does on his blog is battle misinformation and cranks. He started with the Bad Astronomy website when he was a grad student at University of Virginia. But there was no DSPK. He had to amuse himself somehow. These forums started in part to battle misinformation on the internet, and so we still get a lot of Google searches on basic astronomy terms and basic crank woo terms that take you right to the forums. And so that's something to if you want to find out information about things in science and skepticism, that's what we have going on there. Joshua Warner is commenting that getting real information out is so important. A friend of his has had a new baby, and somebody was telling her not to vaccinate and to feed her baby raw eggs. There was a lot of misinformation. Of course, if you just Google this stuff, you're going to get all kinds of answers. You may not necessarily get the scientific answers first off.
Yeah.
You have to search the right way to get the scientific answers.
Yeah.
Not everybody knows how to do that,
Yeah, and so that's something again at Bad Astronomy that's come up a lot is the vaccination. And this is not an astronomy topic at all, but it's a scientific topic, and something that's been studied well and truly through. There was a scare in the late 90s of whether the vaccines that we were giving babies were causing autism, and so
scare's the right word.
Yeah, it's turned out that, of course, Andrew Wakefield fabricated data.
Yep.
Whoops.
Lied. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe can you guys talk on that? Have you ever run into non-astronomy misinformation like that you've had to battle, and maybe as a non-expert, right? Because if astronomy is your thing, vaccinations is not your thing. How can you navigate the information as a non-expert?
Vaccinations would be more my thing than astronomy, to be honest with you. But I'd say that there's always going to be people on both sides. Some extreme, some far left, far right, whatever you want to call it. That's political terminology, but the same thing applies.
She froze.
Oh, I did?
No, I hear.
Looks fine. Looks fine here.
I'd say that vaccinations, there's always going to be risk to the medical technologies and advancements that we have, but for vaccinations, the benefits far outweigh any of the risks you're going to see. So,
now, in all fairness, that's a perfectly rational point of view, unless it's your child who's one of the million who is indeed truly hurt by a vaccine.
You're right, and that's going to change anything.
Yeah, and that's where emotion weighs in ahead of facts, because we're all humans, and that's the kind of things our brains work on and feed on.
Yeah.
But how do you know what information to trust when you're looking at this?
Well, I ran into something not too long ago. I was over on Facebook, and they were talking about vaccination and a wide variety of topics. And that's right, it was on the Facebook page for Pamela, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a fellow in India who had not very strong English skills, and he was basically trying to convince everyone about his whole idea that plate tectonics was wrong, and that it was all, what was it? Had something to do with geometry, basically. Is the geometry of the entire universe was all reflected in the geometry of the Earth and the geometry of the planets and everything.
I think I've run into that guy.
Yeah, and so I went to Google. He had put up a link to his scientific papers, and so I went to Google and typed in "crap journal" into there, and found crap journal, because it was written in this paper he had written was in a journal somewhere, and as some of us may know, there are journals out there that will print anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went, okay, is this a valid journal or is this a crap journal? So I went into Google and typed crap journal and found SkepticNet or something like that down there that said how to determine whether a journal is crap or not. I clicked on that, and there was a link in there to a list of crap journals, and there was his journal right there. And then there's hundreds of them, and they sound really important too. You know, Institute of Natural Sciences Worldwide. You know, stuff like that. Who knows? You know, but yeah, it was, and it was a crap journal. Basically, you pay a fee of $100 or 100 rupees or whatever, and they'll print your thing, not using any actual ink or paper, but they'll put it on the web, and. So I had to explain to the guy, yeah, you're quote published unquote, but you're published in a disreputable journal. Do some real science, get published in the AJ, the Astrophysical Journal, or Nature, and get back to me.
Yeah, probably it hasn't been peer reviewed by other people working.
Yeah. Or the peers are people like Andrew Weil, who's you know, peerless in a way.
Well, you know, since Google is helping us host this whole event, I'm gonna maybe throw out a little shot for Google Scholar on that front. I think they're pretty good at screening all the journals, and for the most part, from what I found, at least in the sciences I've researched, but astronomy is not one of the sciences I research often. Nicole is the expert there, so.
Yeah, astronomy is lucky in that we have something called the Astrophysical Data Service, NASA ADS. They actually collate all the astronomy journal papers for us. We don't even have to go with something as wide as Google Scholar, but I found in doing more of the sociological research in order to look at things like citizen science motivations, I've had to go to Google Scholar to go outside my comfortable field of astronomy. And that's where you can, they do a good job of indexing the reputable journals there.
Yeah, to expand on that point, you asked this question a little bit earlier, Nicole, and that was, you know, why and how, as astronomers or whatever your particular field of study is, if you are a working scientist, how can you become knowledgeable? Why should you even care about what's happening in other sciences that are completely unrelated? For example, the example that we've been talking about is vaccines, when we're in a group of astronomers. And one of my favorite quotes to illustrate that need for us to defend science as a philosophy is from Isaac Asimov. There is a single light of science, and to brighten it anywhere is to brighten it everywhere. When there is an attack on science in any part, then it is an attack on all of science. When a member of the United States Senate stands up, and a position of great power and influence, and says that climate science is the greatest hoax ever perpetrated upon the American people, which is my definition of a crank.
What?
Sure it is, right? All these scientists are just making this up. Thousands of scientists around the world making this up. But the oil companies, they're correct.
Yeah.
We have to stand up as working scientists, say, no, this is what the science says.
Yeah.
Every science organization, every national foundation in the world has agreed that there is a great likelihood, because, sorry, wishy-washy science language here, there's no perfect answer. We don't have the exact answer, but, you know, we're scared by it. We're scared by what we're finding.
Yeah.
In fact, that's a direct quote I got from an interview I did with somebody at the National Snow and Ice Data Center in Boulder, that he's studying the Arctic ice levels and saying, man, this is freaking us out. Literally freaking us out. And as a working scientist, I've got to take that into account. We don't see people arguing with doctors that, you know, smoking is bad. You know, if you want to make that choice, it's fine, but don't pretend that it's a healthy, wonderful choice.
Yeah. Although they did that back in the 50s.
They did.
They did try that. Well, with climate science, the data really is there for everyone to see, and I've seen citizen science projects doing climate science as well. So the data is not just there for, you know, working scientists, you know, in institutions to see, but, you know, everyday people, people who are not climate scientists like me can go in and do these citizen science projects and also contribute to that data collection that shows, yes, there's a major thing happening here. There's no way to hide. There's nowhere to hide for the global temperature changes.
Well, one good weapon that we can all use, I think, is comedy. it's hard to do comedy. But look at Colbert and Stewart to some extent, and you'll see one good way to get people's attention. What I do in my presentations at McCormick, I'll hold up my iPad here. I hope this can show up.
Oh,
here we go.
A little bit.
Yeah, this is a flow chart that I use. This is part of my presentation, and let's see if I can do this backwards. Here we go. We start up here, and we get an idea, and then we perform an experiment, and we look at the results of the experiment and see whether they agree with our idea or not. And if they do, then we go back. If they don't, then we go back up and get a new idea. But if they do, we improve our theory and use it to better understand the universe. Then, rather than quit while we're ahead, we discover new evidence, and etc. So it's a little flow chart that shows all the feedback mechanisms for.
There is, Richard. There is a major item lacking from that flow chart.
But I follow that flow chart with the astrology side, and it's a lot simpler. You have an idea, you ignore contradiction.
Oh,
it always gets the laugh out of everybody.
It froze up, but I think you said ignore contradicting evidence.
What's missing is we go back to the astronomy flow chart. Caffeine.
Caffeine. Lots of caffeine.
Lots of caffeine.
Oh,
and
man.
pizza. Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be the catalyst star on the side.
Write it in.
The caffeine.
None of it goes.
Accelerates the process. That's awesome. In response to the questions you were asking earlier, Michael, I believe, I haven't seen your face. You're Sky Radio Michael.
Yep.
Sky Guide Radio Michael.
I have no face. I am faceless.
You have a silhouette of a face with glasses and a beard. Ears are good. Anyway, in answer to your question, I think all sciences are always going to overlap. So yes, there's always a consideration for what's happening in your other sciences. Like a virus is going to be one of the most likely things to be living on another planet, in my opinion. It lives in so many environments. You're always going to have those overlaps. Climate science is always going to be important for astronomy and biology and all these other sciences. But that's everything needs to be in moderation. There's no one thing that's causing all of this to happen. Everything's working together. So yeah, we all need to collaborate with our other scientists.
Canada. I blame the Canadians.
You blame Canada?
Yeah,
we need
absolutely.
to collaborate with them too. We have Fraser. Where's Fraser? We have Kyle.
Yeah.
Kyle's not in the room. It's okay.
No, we don't have
make fun of Canada
with us right now, apparently. Canadians? Anyone chiming in?
Well, they have the cure for global warming. All that cold air.
Seems legit.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so we've been getting some really good comments. The Life Genesis on YouTube just had a daughter. Congratulations. And they are trying to make these decisions. And I'm sure you are awash in all different types of good information, bad information, middling information, irrelevant information. It's not an easy thing. And so me personally, I tend to go with things that, the Center for Disease Control. As a scientist, I do see how things work within science, and I see it's hard to hide, data. So when someone's telling you the scientists are hiding things, no, we're really bad at that. We're really bad at that. We have big mouths.
One thing that James Randi has proved with Project Alpha, is that often the scientists are the ones who are easiest to fool. And one needs only look at Mayim Bialik and her complete refusal to believe what her own MD, her own pediatrician, tells her about her own kids. She doesn't vaccinate her kids, and she's got a PhD in microbiology. Of all the people, she should be the one who knows that viruses are dangerous. But no, she's studied stuff and she knows better.
Yeah.
I hope her kids don't die, but if they do, maybe she'll learn something.
But the experiment with James Randi was, I think it was a couple of psychologists. They were able to trick them into thinking that a couple of young magicians had psychic powers. And scientists, in a lot of ways, don't think that, you know, I mean, especially if you're studying people, they don't think you're going to lie. They're not waiting to be deceived. They're just looking to observe and collect data. And so, yeah, we can be the easiest to fool if we're thinking strictly along those lines.
Now, I'm a scientist and I have great psychotic powers.
I think that's a necessity.
Yeah.
But beyond I mean, some of these things are kind of life and death decisions, and then some of these things are just really out there. Somebody said time cube. We're just gonna leave that. Time. If you've never seen the Time Cube website, it's bright. And then Steve DeGroof has joined us in the comment thread.
Tree lobsters.
Tree lobsters. Mentioning we mentioned comedy as being a good way to get across these concepts. They do so with comedy and puppets, which we'll be seeing later this morning. I'm really excited with Death by Puppets coming. And I pointed out there is this one gentleman that at DragonCon every year that comes up to every astronomy person who speaks. We've been approached by him before, and uses trigonometry to prove that spaceflight is impossible.
I talked to that guy.
You have?
I
Okay.
have talked to him.
You may have been deflected. He may have been deflected
intense.
towards you.
I'll say it's intense. That's all I'm going with.
It's interesting because, you know, it's not a life and death thing, but it's something that someone is fixated on in a way. And I don't.
What does he say?
He proves that spaceflight is impossible because of his math.
Okay.
And you know, and as an
He
astronomer,
tries to show you the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, he'll sit there and
write
derive
it out for you.
What's an
in
audience?
front of you, you know. And
but I get emails. I've even had, you know, books mailed to me of alternative theories of the universe from, you know, and it's just interesting to see what people fixate on and are determined to go against the mainstream on. And I totally get, you know, going against the mainstream on so many things. I mean, I have like pink hair here. But it's to see what different people fixate on. Yeah, your hair's not pink, Richard. Sorry.
Gray is the best I can do.
Fascinating.
What we obviously need, Nicole, is a trigonometric approach to show that gentleman doesn't exist.
There we go.
When he approaches, you say, you're not real. And let me show you why you're not real.
Yeah, I don't know if I have
that would be probably the best comeback you could give him to get him off his
routine.
Yeah.
Speaking of routine, the reason that we're here tonight is this is the Cosmic Quest 24-hour, much longer than 24-hour Hangoutathon, and that's because we're here to raise money for Cosmic Quest. Speaking from my perspective, not as a member of the Cosmic Quest team, but as a person who appreciates the work you do because of the programs that you produce that we air on astronomy.fm, 365 Days of Astronomy, Astronomy Cast, Learning Space, which, Nicole, we love having on astronomy.fm, especially with our outreach and teacher education aspects.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
The weekly space hangouts and so on and so on and so on. And that's just a small part of what Cosmic Quest does. Bottom line is that Congress, I'm sorry, let me say this the proper pronunciation. Congress, because to my mind, Congress is a four-letter word. Congress, in its infinite wisdom, has decided that education and outreach is no longer the priority that, that frankly, as it should be. And the funding has been slashed across this country enormously. And what Cosmic Quest is, speaking as a fan now, what Cosmic Quest is trying to do is fill that gap in some small but effective way. So I am right now taking a moment from this discussion to beg, to plea with the people who are listening to this program to jump online, go to cosmicquest.org and hit donate. In fact, can we throw that address back in the bottom of the screen? Do I have to shut up for that to show up?
No, you can keep talking. I can point.
There we go. There it is. There's the URL. If you're following us along on Google Plus or on YouTube, if you're listening on the simulcast on astronomy.fm, because we're carrying almost all of this programming on astronomy.fm, join us and make your donation to help support the work that Nicole and Pamela and dozens of other people at Cosmic Quest and hundreds of people around the world do. It's a very modest request, and if everyone who is listening gave a little bit, we'd meet the goal. And we need your support to do that. So enough of the ad. Come on, people, get with the program.
Thank you, Michael. Yes, you've been keeping us on track with doing our donation begging. So cosmoquest.org/donate. We'll take you to the page where there's a PayPal link, and we want to keep Joe fed and let him go to the doctor. Because apparently, he just told us he hasn't been to the doctor in several years. Cause
He needs that operation.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I will say one other way you can help support us is to help support all of our media costs through Astro Gear. You can go buy a t-shirt or a bumper sticker or something.
Is that astrogear.com or?
Astrogear.com or .org. We have both. They both go to the same place.
I'm checking it out right now.
That's a way to help support media costs, and you get something from it in return.
Yeah.
And you can get CosmoQuest shirts and lanyards there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the Astro Gear ad while we're on to the ad topic.
Okay.
Do we have anything at astrogear.com in flaming pink? You know, to match the color?
Not at this time, but go ahead and send a request.
That's a request, okay.
We have had some troubles with the store tonight. A lot of the orders are coming back, so I think we have to fix the code on that. So, but keep that link bookmarked.
Send an email, and we can handle those. Okay.
Squee, we got Surly Ramix.
We will get you your merchandise.
Yes.
If
Send
you
us
want
an email. Which email address? Info@Astrosphere?
Yeah, that one works. Yes.
Info@astrosphere.org.
Yes, that one would be org, not com.
Yeah, so go ahead and do that as well. You get swag. You get, you mentioned Surly Amy. I don't know if we have any of her stuff in the store right now, but she has offered tonight. If you go to Surly,
did we sell out of hers? We had.
I don't know, but in her store at surlyramix.com, that'll take you to her Etsy shop. If you put CosmoQuest in the notes to seller, she will donate some percentage of the proceeds to CosmoQuest, not just tonight, but from here on into the future. So Surly Amy has pledged to do that because she's awesome sauce like that. So yeah, and I think we do have some of the Moon ones, special edition Moon ones in our store as well. So you can.
And maybe the VLA.
Oh, I know. I was so excited about this, right? I can't believe we didn't talk about this during her segment. She did with Tanya Burchell in Charlottesville, Virginia. They designed one for the very large array, so the Y-shaped array of antennas out in New Mexico, and it looks like the VLA, and they're selling it in the VLA gift shop now in New Mexico. We managed to make that connection as well, so that's really exciting.
It's too bad we don't have Tanya on tonight.
I know.
Oh, well.
You know, she's been sick, so, you know, I don't... I don't want to bug her too much. So those are all ways. So if you don't want to donate right out, you can buy things from Surly Amy. You can buy things from the Astro Gear store that helps keep the media stuff going. So all of those things are ways to help out financially.
I like the cosmology T-shirt. I'm sorry. I've stopped being a guest on your show. I'm now a shopper with a microphone.
That's okay. Be a shopper. Enjoy. Enjoy
Cosmology gets better with age. The cheesy moon T-shirt. There it is.
That's lovely.
Richard, come on, put that down, man. The women are swooning.
God.
That manly chest is more than that camera can handle.
So I know that we have a few 365 Surly Ramix, 365 Days of Astronomy, and Astronomy Cast available for you right now. Yeah, so enjoy. Are you enjoying yourself over there, Sky Guide Michael?
Yes, I'm now looking at the T-shirt that shows Astronomy Cast is the center of the universe. I've always wondered about that. That looks like a good thing.
I have that one actually. I own one of the very limited edition women's size Astronomy Cast T-shirts. Let me tell you, it's perfect fit for a woman right there. It's very intense. But only Pamela and I have that. There's only two in existence.
Oh, very limited, as if they came out from the T-shirt lady shop.
Well, here's the deal though. If we get enough requests for it, I will order them. We could do a T-shirt campaign. T-shirt campaign. You want that T-shirt in women's send me at least 25 requests for it, and I will order them all for you.
Yeah. T-shirt lady occasionally gives us samples, and that's how we end up with special limited edition women shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Nicole, I see that the next segment is called Astrophotography 2, Sunrise. And looking out my window, I can see that it's beginning to be sunrise here in Virginia. I can
I'm
see
glad
light
you're
out
getting
there.
sunrise. We probably still have storm clouds over us, so I don't think that's happening. We're totally gonna have to wing the next segment.
Oh, was the plan to have a camera actually look at sunrise there?
That was Pamela's plan, but we've had storms all night, and so I don't think we've got that.
I might be able to look at sunrise. I'm in Texas.
Are you portable?
It's not stormy.
Can you point the webcam out the window? That's close enough.
I can, yeah, I can do that. I can even drive somewhere if you really want me to.
Here
I can
comes
point my
the-
microphone at the sunrise.
Well, if it was hooked up to a radio telescope, we could
Um,
do that.
My camera's locked down, so I can't really move it.
I
except
have a
little-
laptop. I have an iPad. I can roam.
Stick one of them out the
I'm
window.
roamable.
Do it. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We'll
Give
just
me a
keep
minute.
chatting, and you
I'm
can
not-
do sunrise.
Sunrise is not here yet, so.
Our roving reporter.
Won't be long.
Oh
Okay.
my.
Let me-
Well, sunrise here in the metropolitan Detroit area was 3 minutes ago.
3 minutes ago?
Technically.
Detroit.
Technically.
Okay. I got 6:22 is what it's telling me. 6:22 a.m. and it's only 5.
I really enjoyed
an
looking
hour
at.
and a half.
I was looking at the times for astronomical twilight. Looking at one of my other observatory projects, and the end of astronomical twilight, when you get the last glow of the sunset on the horizon finally disappearing, was just a minute or two before midnight, and then the first hint of dawn was at 3:27 a.m.
Wow.
So a whole 3.5 hours of darkness.
I don't know how I
It's a
survived.
little further north than we are here. So
I guess, yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm checking the email. Make sure we have the segment after this one set up.
So,
You're muttering
Oh,
something.
yes. Puppets. Death by Puppets.
Death by Puppets.
my only issue
And
with
Rebecca.
sunrise in Houston is that Houston is super flat. There's no plateau hill I can go hang out on and get a decent view. There's going to be houses in the way. They're building more and more suburbs to this humongous city already.
I've
Driving
noticed
here is
when I'm-
horrendous.
when I'm visiting over at the Johnson Space Flight Center, that the top of the freeway bridges are actually pretty good.
So you want me to just keep driving by? That'll be awesome.
Park over, you put on your emergency flashers, and
But what kind of bandwidth
yeah.
can you expect on a cell phone or on a cell
I mean, I
iPad?
have an iPhone 5. I can do that. Mobile, I'm doing live. Can I do a hangout?
I haven't done one of those in a while. But yeah,
I
you
can.
try.
I've done it. I've done it on my iPad. I know that works.
The sun is rising
Try
in
it.
Florida.
Yeah.
It should be coming up any time now around here. I've been up at 5 a.m. pretty often lately.
You've been up at 5 a.m. pretty often from here.
Exactly 6 a.m. here in Virginia.
It's 5
and here
a.m.
too.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's amazing.
That's amazing that it's that much difference for us. It doesn't seem like we're that far away, east-west. More north-south. Yeah?
Well, not only to the west, but you're further south.
Well, I guess that does make a difference. I wasn't
Yeah.
thinking in that direction. Okay. Thank you for the correction.
There's a noticeable difference even on different sides of the state of Michigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm from northern Michigan. I'm right now in southeastern Michigan, so looking at the differences there. I was just looking ahead, thinking ahead. By the way, we're 18 hours into this,
Oh my gosh.
Nicole. We're almost halfway done.
Woo.
Almost halfway.
I think another 4 or 5 days we'll get the hang of this.
Oh, yeah.
I might die. There's not
And I
enough
was-
caffeine in the world for that.
I was looking at the events coming up. We've got Astrophotography 2 is coming up next hour. Death by Puppets is an hour from now, and I've wanted to meet those folks. I was telling Richard in the green room that they have an interesting program, a takeoff on Carl Sagan that I would love to broadcast on Astronomy.fm if they will let me do that. So
Well, it's a lot of visual. Can you do that?
Oh, the audio was good, and that was good enough. I do a lot of things. Well, like this hangout that we rededicate on astronomy.fm. We have at 7 o'clock Central Time today is the CosmoQuest Community Hour. I don't know any of these people, so I'm looking forward to learning about
yeah,
that.
so
I Ulysses Scott Adkins.
No,
8 o'clock
Ulysses
Central?
Atkins. Yeah, well, yeah, right, his middle name. Yeah, I pulled in, but we have, so, we have these weekly hangouts, and so there are some of our viewers that are there every week with us, commenting, hanging out. Ulysses actually know from Virginia as well, so it's kind of the community fan hour. This is people who haven't, are involved in CosmoQuest, heard about us, watched the shows, and I wanted to actually invite them into the hangout and say hello.
How many of those do you usually get?
And they have a really tough job because they are right before, I think, the best class of the day, the best session of the day, teaching surface science with Oreo cookies.
I'm looking forward to the Oreo cookies. That'll
Oreo
be
cookies.
Oh, Darlene Cavalier is on the.
Darlene Cavalier is going to make an appearance as well.
The science cheerleader.
Yeah, and the Sci Starter, which is the Citizen Science Clearinghouse, where you can find out all kinds of citizen science projects from all different branches of science, even some that are not science. I think some of the archival type projects are there as well. Anything from a little bit of effort to a whole lot of effort. Any kind of citizen science project that you want. So we'll be talking to her about that. And then, yes, Pamela's been wanting to do this topography and with Oreo cookie demo for a while. So we will feast on Oreo cookies for breakfast.
Back to the kitchen.
Back to the kitchen.
For science. Vesta Mappers is coming up at 10 o'clock Central. And after that, one of my favorite people in the known universe, Spaceflight History with Amy Shira-Title, who last I saw on Friday's Hangout didn't have a tube up her nose.
That's right. And we did pick on her a little bit. No, she was moving across the country, actually from Canada to the U.S., but moving, all the way west to east, and ended up in the hospital. Unfortunately, it was
what an adventure!
She has a lot of scar tissue, internal scar tissue from an accident from way back, and so she wasn't doing so well. Ended up in the hospital. She tweeted and Google Plus a picture of herself in the hospital with the tube in her nose and everything.
And boy, did she look miserable. I mean, really, truly, like she wanted to slug whoever's taking the picture. Is that her husband?
She may have been a selfie. I think she may have wanted to punch herself.
I get the looking at that picture. I just assumed that if the hose was on this tube and then my nose a little longer, I would kill you. I would strangle you with it if I could reach you. But no, I'll just sit here. We have talking about cranks, climate change, teaching facts-based science. That's with the Astronomy Cast crew. Matt Kaplan will be joining us just after lunch today with combating misinformation with the media. And that's just the next 6 hours, and there's a whole bunch of neat stuff after that as well. So if anybody would like to enjoy that, well, they need to give. You need your help.
Are you laughing at Richard?
Yeah.
Richard's taking a selfie in front of the computer.
Of that wonderful shirt, that manly chest.
Oh dear. Pavel has returned.
Give it a shot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still hearing the echo through, but
Texas. Yeah.
Hi. Okay, so oh gosh, I can't. I'm getting distracted by the echo.
Your mic is really close to that Mac.
Hi, everybody.
Microphone.
No, it's on her.
Hi. Everybody, buddy.
Okay, now you're just playing. Now you're just messing with me.
Yeah, hang on.
Yeah. You got me.
Okay, so we have a discussion topic about how to battle cranks, and
So what's wrong with cranks?
Cranks.
Oh, cranks. Okay.
No, we like cranks.
Okay.
You're okay with that. Okay, you just.
I have bad hearing.
You're young. Give me a break. You shouldn't have bad hearing yet. What would you? First of all, I guess what's the definition of a crank? What would you consider a crank? Richard's too busy playing with a mouse.
Yeah, he's got rocks.
Michael, there you are.
Hello.
How are you?
Now I'm hearing the YouTube feed from 70 seconds ago.
You were brilliant 70 seconds ago.
The internet.
I'm
It's
all over the
everywhere.
place. Yeah. The internet, one giant location.
Yes, yes, it is. And Richard, we've had you in and out and through and doing video stuff, but why don't you actually introduce yourself, where you are and what you do?
Yes, hello. I'm Richard Drum in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I'm the past president of the Charlottesville Astronomical Society and current vice president of it. Oh, yeah, right. There, I
There you go.
There we go.
Advertising.
Charlottesville
I have several
Astronomical Society.
cast mugs.
Nice chapeau.
And I've been doing presentations at McCormick Observatory, the home of DSBK and Nicole's old stomping grounds. And yeah, I've done presentations there, usually for things like Friday night. It was Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, even the Senior Center. But here's I get to actually out myself a little bit tonight. I did a presentation at McCormick for a group of astrologers about 3 years ago.
Ooh.
Yes, actual astrologers. Yeah. Now my typical presentation starts off with the low-hanging fruit.
I see a Courtney head.
Hi.
Ooh, hi. We got a bit of echo.
It was me. Oh, there she is.
I think Courtney's got a bit of. Do you have headphones, Courtney?
I don't know.
That is.
How do
I
I
can't
stop
see
my
you.
echo?
Oh, wait a minute.
Turn on a light, Courtney.
Richard.
All right, so Courtney is joining us from just after your brother's wedding, I take it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
actually.
Richard is joining us from Charlottesville, so we just had a couple of other Charlottesvillians in here. Richard Drum, the astronomy bum, so there we go. And Michael is trying to join us. Maybe, Courtney, can you turn down the volume to reduce the echo? That might help. No, see, I'm hearing my own audio come back through your side.
My first time using this microphone. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
wearing them.
Yeah, if you put headphones on, that'll
I'm wearing headphones.
okay.
Ah,
There's still sound coming out of
This
your
is my
computer
first time
somewhere.
using this mic, so
Okay.
listen.
Truly.
So what would you consider a crank?
Who, me? The
Anyone, go.
how about somebody who is so wildly, I'm quoting now, so wildly at variance with those commonly held beliefs as to be considered to be ludicrous. I just like the word ludicrous. So.
Ludicrous.
That'll
So ludicrous, beyond what is acceptable in some way.
Dismissing all evidence.
Dismissing evidence. Okay, that's a
Facts,
good.
you know, facts. I consider facts to be irritating because they get under your skin and they itch terribly.
oh.
Right, so we're saying that crank isn't, a lot of people like to argue on the internet, but we don't want to just talk about, hey, you disagree with me, I disagree with you, but somebody that is dismissing evidence, right? And so where do you run into these kinds of things?
Well, it seems like it's always fun to run into them in the classroom.
Oh, okay.
They're a little harder to dismiss when they're in the classroom because they actually, paid to be there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean the teachers, not the students?
Well, both.
Okay.
That's always fun. No, I lecture, but I also teach teachers at the local college, University of Oakland University.
Where are you located, Michael? So Michael's been running a lot of our green room stuff. You are behind Astronomy FM. Maybe a little introduction is in order.
Ah, well, of course. I am a planetary astronomer. I work on processing Kepler mission data. See, it's been a long night for me too. Kepler mission data or data mission Kepler, one or the other. That is what I do for a living, and then for fun, because free time. What's that? I'm the program director of Astronomy.fm, which is an all astronomy general science internet radio station, and so we're helping with this right here. Tonight, we're simulcasting tonight's broadcast for those people who don't have the pleasure of Google Plus and YouTube. There are quite a few countries around the world where you can't watch what we're doing right now. Interestingly, we're getting a large number of our broadcast listeners are in China.
Oh, hello, China.
Yeah, China, we are usually blocked, censored by the government.
Yeah.
So, and I just screwed up by just mentioning that fact live on the air. But where I'm located, I'm in Metro Detroit, and I'm associated with Caltech, and I work in the Canary Islands. So other than that, I'm really not quite sure where I'm at.
You're all over the